All right, everyone, welcome back. It's not like we have the table full of brownies and cookies to go to and to hang around and chit chat and whatnot done too, but we're doing okay here. I got to mention that there's a few folks that have joined during the break. Lee Yokel has joined us. Lee is active and been active for a long time with GCOOS and GOMA, and she knows us well and we know her very well. So Lee, I want to welcome you to the call. Stephanie Watson has also joined us. Stephanie is part of the GCOOS staff and has worked long and hard with Barb and the staff in a number of different roles over the years. And I don't think we introduced Julian Lartigue. He joined earlier on in the meeting, and he's now with us. And if there's anybody else that I've missed, just let me know, and I will certainly introduce you. Some folks have been doing, having issues with Wi-Fi and this and that. Sometimes we have found with the GoToMeeting, and you all know this better than I, if you're having Wi-Fi or internet difficulties, bandwidth problems, you want to kill the video and maintain the audio, or kill the video and shut off your microphone. That might help your situation. Having said that, without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and pick up on the agenda. Our next presentation is the Executive Director's Report from Dr. Barb Kirkpatrick. Barb, all yours.
Thank you, Joe. And Jen, I need a little help. I'm not able to advance my slides when I hit either the mouse or what am I doing wrong, Jen?
Okay, so you may have to exit out of the mode that you're in.
Okay. Hang on, everybody. Sorry, we did a dry run, of course, before, and everything worked just fine.
Barb, on the dry run, if I hit enter first and then I hit the up down arrows, it worked. I don't know if you tried that.
Yeah, try that too.
No, that's not. Oh, now it says you want to leave the meeting.
No, you don't want to do that.
No.
Let's see.
Hang on.
Try to, yeah, so if you click enter.
Yeah.
And then click an arrow button after that.
Nothing. It's acting kind of like it's locked up.
Okay. Are you able to exit out, or do you want to send me the presentation and I will post it up for you?
Yeah, hang on. I think it's my whole computer that's locked up is the problem. I can't exit either. Oh, we love remote meetings. We do, we do. Aha, wait, maybe this will do it.
There we go.
Oh, yay. Okay, I guess we're rolling. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. So first, starting out, just want to remind anybody who is new, first off, welcome. If this is your first GCOOS meeting, we'd love to have you. We would like to get as many people in the Gulf as we can knowing about GCOOS and the mission. So I just put the mission statement up there to remind everybody of what we're all about. And then second, Joe and I had the same idea because, again, I'm the one who gets to stand up here today and talk about all the wonderful things we have going on at GCOOS. But this is the GCOOS team that stands behind me, next to me, and a lot of times in front of me, paving the way for all the wonderful things that we're doing at GCOOS. So thank you, and I wish that we were here, we were together in person. I'm hoping it'll be soon. And then I also want to thank the board. Just want to remind everybody that this is a volunteer board. These are all busy people, as I know everybody seems to be these days, and they take time out of their crazy schedules to be on phone calls, to give us advice. They're just amazing at how giving they are to the organization and to the mission of GCOOS. And I thank each and every one of you for that. And then this slide I shamelessly borrowed from the October board meeting because unfortunately not a lot has changed since October. But all you data providers, product providers who have really been struggling under COVID restrictions to keep our data flowing. And again, appreciate the dedication, the crazy lives everyone's working from home and balancing things. And I did have in October something about hurricane season coming up, and I just have to say, here we are again coming up on hurricane season. And I thought it was interesting, both Nan Walker, who was able to join the call, and Nancy Rabelais texted me, bad storms in Baton Rouge were there without power, but still trying to phone in on for the GCOOS meeting, and thank you for that. Okay, so I suspect this is one where some of the PIs out there are wondering what's going on with funding. And as Carl mentioned in his brief, we wrote for the renewal of the next 5 years and submitted it in December of 2020. All RAs were asked to write at a $3 million per year and a $6 million per year level. I do not have the reviews back from the IU's program office yet, but here's what I can tell you so far. I just received last week the award letter for year 1, and it is directly coming from the IU's program office, so it's not the official grants management division notification. As Carl made comment, when it gets to GMD and they award it, we then have 65 days to make adjustments in the budget and accept the award. But we have notification of what we can anticipate that will be in that award. I apologize to the PIs who want to know. I get that, but my experience has been it's a really good thing to talk to the executive committee about the budget, talk to the board about the budget, which board members will be doing on our Thursday session. So the rest of the PIs, please just sit tight. We promise we will get our money out to you as quickly as we can. But I have to be honest and say, really expect those new sub-awards to come to you in August. The second thing I didn't put on the slide, but I know a lot of people are anxious about the no-cost extensions from the previous 5-year grant. Quite a few people have fairly good chunks of money left over, and part of that is really, quite frankly, due to COVID and travel restrictions and all those things. I've been on email with TAMU sponsored research today, and your no cost extensions are in the hopper. I think you'll see them by the end of the week. So apologies, I know, Nan, but apologies, it's been a little longer than we've all wanted, but we have pushed that rock uphill and it's about to run downhill, I'm happy to say. Okay. The other thing I always like to point out to everyone, and why GCOOS is fortunate to have such a talented and diverse staff, is that we leverage off a lot of different projects that we have going in the Gulf. So this is on top of our IU's grant. So I want to make sure everyone understands that not all the folks on the staff are funded directly through the IU's grant, and you can see the different projects. Grid C, Marion and Frankie work on primarily. MBON with Frank Mueller-Carter. I just kind of put up who works on what. As you can see, it's quite a variety of effort that we have going. It's actually a page 2. Couple that we just got started fairly recently, I guess, Stephen, it was last fall, you got the unmanned hypoxia monitoring project that we started with you. We'll be doing the data management on that project. Chris Simonello has been working hard on a HAB red tide communication project with Florida Sea Grant. Stephanie Watson, and apologies, Philemon, I didn't put your name up there, but they're both working on the cetacean project, marine mammal health map, if you will. So we're adding a lot of data on a lot of different projects in the Gulf, along with the IU's funding. So I asked each of the senior leads here to give me a slide on their primary mission. So from Philemon, reporting on our data portal. Here's just some basic numbers that you can see: 53 data providers, 418 stations monitored, 1,588 total number of sensors. I think we rock it compared to the other RAs. We bring in a lot more data. A lot of that is about our oil and gas partners, our energy partners. You can see the daily averages as far as numbers. And then the big shout out I want to give to Philemon is the one that Carl mentioned, that we're taking over as data, the royal we, because it's really Philemon. But we're taking over the data stewardship from NDBC of the notice to lessee ADCPs. And this has been a challenging project. We're trying to improve our communication with those data providers to really get that data into IU's quality data that people can use. And it's been a heavy lift, and we still have a lot of work to do. But again, I think GCOOS's reputation of working with data providers and talking to them, listening to them, we're going to improve this data set substantially. So I would say stay tuned, and I'm hoping in the fall we can give you a much more detailed report of that. And then Bob Courier continues to do amazing things on the product side. Gandalf, our glider piloting portal. You can see his numbers there, 478 days listed in Gandalf. I think one of the things you'll find interesting is we've added the University of Alaska, AUS, is using Gandalf now to pilot their gliders. And we've received amazing comments from the people in Alaska that it's not just the scientists that are using Gandalf. Some of the tribes are using Gandalf's K through 12. Some of the tour boat operators who want to make sure that they don't hit the underwater glider are actually pulling up Gandalf real time when they're out on a tour boat to show folks where this underwater glider is. Bob added 3D plots on Gandalf. I suspect maybe Carrie might show a little bit of that. And again, that was at the request of the glider operators. So I think it's a good example of the conversation that goes on between the data providers and the data product people at GCOOS on getting things that are useful. And Bob added the Argo float positions as well on Gandalf. Okay, we've been very busy. It's been talked about a little bit on this HabScope, Hab forecast. So we have right now about 24 community scientists who have HabScopes out there. On an average day, there's about 14 of them who are active. Bob and Grant work with them to make sure that the quality of the video is good and accepted. And then it's fed into the Hab forecast, which if you haven't been, it's Hab forecast, .gcoos.org. Did I get it right? Bob, would you put it in the chat for everybody if I messed it up?
That's right.
Slide. Okay, thank you. And then another project that is just sort of not groundbreaking, technology breaking, I guess. Bob's done with a project called Halo, which is a project funded by Florida DEP for a monitoring system in Lake Okeechobee. And for those of you who know a little bit about Florida, you know that there's a lot of concern about Lake Okeechobee and the water releases that go both towards the East Coast and the West Coast of Florida and what it does to the water quality in the coastal section. Bob, again, working with the scientists on the Halo project, has really demonstrated groundbreaking ways to show data. And so at your convenience, take a look at that Halo site. Again, all of these are in IUSE fashion, which is open source data available to everyone. Staffing updates. Oops, I didn't realize I had a bunch of them. I don't know how that works. Sorry, Carrie. We added Carrie Wilden in the fall to help with her oceanography expertise. It's one of the things we identified as a board that we were really missing on the staff after the loss of Matt Howard. And so Carrie has really stepped up. She's organizing, did an amazing job in the 2020 hurricane season. We're having a GCOOS Gulf Glider Group meeting every other week. And it's really, I think, bonded the glider group in the Gulf and made us stronger and better. And so she started the same thing with the high frequency radar operators in the Gulf. And she's been helping Philemon sort out all the details of the surface current data and making sure it's IUSE compliant, or at least that's our goal. We're not quite there yet with Philemon. Oops, one more. And we recently, the Royal We, because she did the heavy push here, there was a fairly short turnaround time for a proposal that funding would come from OMAO, Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. I think I got it right this time. For hurricane glider work, we will know if that was funded in first week of June-ish. But again, this was a proposal that was 4 RAs in the making and a very short turnaround time. So I really appreciate all the heavy lift that Carrie gave to that. And then the good news for us, maybe the not quite so good news for Jen, is she's taken the foot off the gas pedal on graduate school, has eased off a little bit, is going to back down to 1 class a semester instead of 2. And the good news for us is she's back full time working on both GCAN and board liaison efforts with us. Okay, where do I go next? Okay, another hardworking GCOOSian that you all know very well, our outreach manager, Chris Simonello. And this is just a snapshot of all the activities she's been working on since she last briefed you. Again, we continue our work with GOMA, Gulf of Mexico Alliance, and the Paddle the Gulf effort with Becky Alley being on the lead. I'm not sure if Becky's still on, but thank you for that effort. The New Normal video project that will be released very soon, and that was in conjunction with our Gulf of Mexico Regional Partnership. So Brian Lamar and Kristen Larson from the Gulf of Mexico Regional Alliance team worked on that with us. The Stones Met Observatory outreach had a little bit of an oops. Our original plans kind of got shut down due to COVID. So Chris, being the creative one that she is, came up with a plan B and is working with underserved high school students with Stones data on projects. The marine biology, I just went blank, diversity network. We continue to work with Frank Mueller Carter's group on that. And I talked a little bit about the Red Tide communication plan that they've been working hard on. Again, that project really got reorganized. They had planned to do a lot of in-person focus groups. And because of COVID, they had to refigure things out and figure out how to do focus groups via Zoom. I think we can all agree that Zoom's a great tool, but maybe we look forward to the day when we're not Zooming so much. The outreach committee, she continues to work with them, worked with the Socorro on the St. Pete Science Festival, which was virtual but had over 3,000 people joining it, and continues to work on community resilience, which, as you heard from Josie, is and Carl, actually, a big focus in the new Biden administration. Okay, so I asked Nadine, how are we doing from communication and outreach? What's our website doing? You can see our website traffic had decreased from 17 to 19. Quite frankly, it got kind of old and tired looking. People weren't going to it. Everybody probably remembers we relaunched in 2019, and I'm pretty proud of those numbers that you can see in red. We continue to increase, and you can see on the left-hand side the old website. I'm hoping that you've seen the new website that's pretty powerful with the ship on the water. Really gives you a feel for the Gulf and what we're about. Current web users, I think it's interesting, about 50% of our users find us directly. So to me, that's good that there are a lot of people out there that like, oh, I know where to find that. I'll go to GCOOS. And then another 35% of us people find us via a search engine. Let's see, our most visited pages, the newsroom and the board of directors pages are the most visited, other than the splash page, just gcoos.org. And one of the things we plan to do is try to drive more traffic to our website via social media. So via Facebook and Twitter. One of the things, how we do Facebook is Grant, Chris, Nadine, and Jen all take 1 week at a time to be there, if you will, social media week. But one of the things we're going to be trying to do is drive more people on social media back to our website. Obviously, there's a whole lot more information on our website. And speaking of our website, Jen has been working hard with Kim Yates from the board on a new GCAN website. The URL is right there. It's spectacular in my mind. I know I'm biased. She's been working with Kim on a Gulf of Mexico ocean acidification state of the science both workshop and paper. They're going to sponsor a Sea Grant, LSU, TAMU, Corpus Christi OA Fellow Workshop on July 13th of this year, virtual, of course. And there will be a Gulf of Mexico Ocean Acidification Symposium that HART is sponsoring that GCAN will be a part of in 2022. So again, if you haven't gone to the GCAN website yet, please take a look. It's got a lot of good information, information about who's doing OA in the Gulf of Mexico, and good addition. And finally, I want to see you all in person. If we can't shake hands and hug, I at least want to fist bump you. I want to elbow bump you. So we are really hoping that we will make it to New Orleans. The dates are TBD. We'll be talking, board members will be settling dates on Thursday and talking about virtual versus in person. I understand it has potential to be fluid, where we might make one decision Thursday and have to pull back in August, but we'll talk about it on Thursday. And I'm hoping once again, Michelle Heipel, who is the Australian, if you will, IUCE director, will be able to join us and tell us about the Australian version of IUCE. A lot of that is up in the air on. It's not if she can get out of the country. The concern, as you know, Australia has been pretty low COVID. Her concern is, will she able to get back into the country without a 14-day quarantine? So there's a lot there, but we will try to keep you updated. If we can't get Michelle, Dr. Heipel, we will certainly get a robust meeting to celebrate all of us being back together again. And with that, I'll just add, board members, you should have received an email from Jen yesterday giving you the agenda for Thursday's meeting. She will send that out to you again tomorrow so that it's at the top of your inbox and you don't have to search for it. And we'll look forward to having some good discussion on Thursday. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions, comments that anybody might have. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Barb. Just watching the chat column over here, people are stating the obvious, that there's a lot being accomplished by your team. And that's a key word, it's accomplished. It's just not talked about. It's just not on a plan of action and milestones. Your team is actually making stuff happen. I mean, the Bessie data is a good example. That's a huge undertaking. We'll talk in detail about that tomorrow. But again, an impressive group. And again, I want to emphasize a point that Barb made earlier. The staff is not funded totally by the IUCE budget line. There are a lot of different grants and what have you that supplement their funding in order for them to be able to participate as they do. And it's a magic, kind of a shuffling act for Barb to manage all those details, but she's done it expertly, and the staff has responded tremendously. And again, well done to everyone. Barb, let me start off the question by just asking, kind of a philosophical question, if you will. Hurricane season 2021 is about to come upon us. We've got red tide breaking out on the west coast of Florida. There are a lot of now events that are going to impact GCOOS and your staff. Well, what do you see moving ahead just in the next year? What are the major challenges?
Great question. And the major challenges are, I think I have two worries. One is being, and Jen, you can have them, you can stop sharing my screen if you want. I think the challenge is being responsive so that we get the information out to the people across the Gulf in a timely manner. But my other worry, as I think, Joe, you've commented on it, is the staff works really hard. And so I worry about them actually working too hard and burning out. We don't have a deep bench,
Right.
even though we have a lot of talent. And so that's a balancing act that we have to work on. The other challenge, because it is, if you will, leveraged projects, leveraged money, is getting, so how do I want to say this? I might get a project funded that only has a quarter FTE funded, but we all know I can't heap that on somebody who's already overcommitted. So finding good talent that can work on either a part-time or temporary basis is a challenge. And then the final one I'll make comment on is National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Math has, no, medicine, I always say math. The Gulf Research Program has the UGOS 3 call out. We were on a planning call for a proposal on that today. And we have been, as you know, very involved in Gulf Hub the last 3 years with the National Academy GRP. And I want to keep that moving forward. That has strong potential for the Gulf. But again, making sure we have the right staffing to address all these opportunities is a real challenge.
Thanks. Any other questions? Let me pick on somebody here. Let's see, who can I find?
I have a question.
Stephen Howden.
It was a great presentation, Barb, and it's really exciting, all the work that's going on. I was wondering about the analytics of the web page, the website, and does that include people who visit Gandalf?
Nadine or Bob, can you guys help me on that one?
No, it doesn't.
I think Bob's got his own analytics installed in Gandalf,
Yep.
don't you, Bob?
Yes.
You know what kind of traffic you get on Gandalf, Bob?
I can check.
I imagine it's a
I'll
little
post-
seasonal, because the gliders are a bit seasonal.
Sure.
In moments, but it'd be interesting to see.
HabitScope tends to get, really big spikes in traffic on the red tide respiratory forecast, of course, when we've got a red tide out there and when the media is advertising it. So, that's definitely, I don't want to say seasonal, but it's definitely use related.
Right. So is the HabitScope also not in that, in those analytics?
It is
That's
not.
correct.
Yeah.
So we could pull some of those numbers if you guys want to see them on Thursday. I could pull a slide together for Thursday just out of curiosity. I know Bob's fingers are flying right now.
Yeah, looks like about 1,000 users on Gandalf over the last 90 days.
Wow, that's like 30 people a day.
Yeah,
Is that
we
the math?
average, when we have several vehicles out, we're averaging 5 or 10 people at once in real time on there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have a question. Barb, so how are y'all handling the industry ADCP data? That's a huge undertaking. I was just wondering, what the plans are for that. Will you have their own display page and, some
They do.
graphics of the data?
Salman, can you put that up in the chat for her?
Yes, I will do. It's ntl.gcooos.org. I will put it on the chat for the address.
Thanks. And yeah, and so our first step, Nan, was to literally just bring in the data.
Mhm.
Our next step is the really bigger step is to improve the quality of the data. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this, these are surface current instruments that are mandated by it's called a notice to lessee by BSEE, Bureau of Safety and Salomon, what's BSEE?
It's a Bureau of, oh my gosh.
Energy,
Yeah, safety.
Energy.
Ocean
Yeah.
Energy Management. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There we
It
go.
was
Thank you, Carl.
Environmental
We all
Enforcement.
went blank. And the issue and why we need to work with the operators is the notice to lessee just says, you have to have one of these things on your platform and send the data classically to NDBC. There aren't any metrics that say, I'll make stuff up. 90% of the time it has to be IU's Cortod compliant, or even 50%. It has to have the metadata provided along with the observations. So there's a lot of stuff we can improve just by working with the operators, communicating with them on it has potential to be really awesome, high quality data. And that's our goal. What else have I left out, Philemon?
Not much.
Okay.
Well,
And-
there are some
and-
questions here from Patrick actually, and Stefan on ADCP. Yeah, it's a 3D current, and not all of them are on rigs. Some of them are data that we get from MODUS, from the mobile drilling unit, mobile drilling units.
Yes.
And some of them are also moored.
And the mobile units are actually part of the problem because they move the unit and they don't change the GPS coordinates of the ADCP. So those are some of the things we're dealing with. I will say, board members, Philemon's going to give you a little deeper dive into the project on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did NDBC stop doing that? Do you know?
Well, Nan, I can address that. I was at NDBC when a lot of these issues started surfacing. Number one, we never received any funding to do it, so it was done out of hide. And we found, like Philemon and company are finding now, that there was very little. The quality control of the data was almost impossible. And forget about quality assurance of the devices that are being placed on the rigs. I'll leave it at that. We'll talk more at Thursday, but my observation, this comes up with any kind of a system like this that I've experienced, where you have either a volunteer organization like the NDBC worked with the Voluntary Observing Ship Program for years. And now we have the oil rigs with the ADCPs. There has to be ownership of the and enforcement of the parameters or the ideas within the lease in order to get a better shot at getting quality data. You just can't tell an oil company or a ship, do this because we're asking you to do it or we're telling you to do it, and expect 100% compliance. And it can be a real mess. And it's not, we saw a briefing, Jan van Smeren and a colleague of his did a briefing a while back, and some of the errors in the metadata are egregious. I mean, it's just, and it's very obvious that there's not the level of attention being paid to the collection of the data that needs to be done. And so that's something that we as the GCOOS board want to address in more detail with BSEE to demonstrate the dilemma that we're facing with this incredibly valuable data set. I mean, it's unbelievably valuable in terms of the Gulf and the current system in the Gulf, but unless we can improve the quality of the data, the QA, the QC just can't keep up with it. So a lot, and Philemon, I'm sure will explain a lot more when we talk on Thursday.
Okay. I'll just mention this. Maybe you've heard of it. Dr. Chunyan Lee, who you know probably at LSU, he wrote an MMS report based on a lot of that data. So
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
have heard that it's like incredibly complex and difficult to understand the like the logistics of what they've done there. So
Yes,
anyway, good
Chunyan
luck with
Lee
that.
on-
I don't know if he's here.
Yeah, he is. Because as I recall the paper, and you know, we read a lot of papers and my brain is old, but I feel like the paper, Pat, do you know, said something like 60% of the data was usable. Does that
That's
sound
correct.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
Apologies.
And it's all at different depths and different
Right.
times,
Is it
and
being
like you
wrote-
said, the rigs, well, the position of the ADCPs move, and a lot to keep up with.
Is it being reported in real time now?
I'm sorry, Pat.
Is it being reported in real time? Is it being sent to the archive or to the website in real time?
Close to real time, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really interesting is that when you attach an ADCP to an oil rig, which in my simple way of thinking is a big piece of metal in the ocean, there's a lot of interference, metallic interference. There's all sorts of electronic anomalies that are introduced, and it's very, very difficult to weed that out from the data or correct for it. There's a number of issues.
Yeah, I think sorry, it's Jan van Speren. In the Gulf Hub project, we got a donation of the data that was post-processed by DeepStar for the first 10 years, and we also got the second 10 years, which we did as part of the Gulf Hub project. And overall percentage of good data is so from the total amount of data that we've recovered NTL data, only about 60% of it actually passed through the full QA/QC. Now that, interestingly, that is that's from the total amount of data we received. I would estimate that's probably 30% of the platforms that are meant to be reporting data aren't reporting any data anyway. So overall data return is probably well below 50%, which is not good.
So hopefully with Philemon and staff and Jan and Bruce Magnell's expertise, Carrie, it's going to be a team effort, but we're pretty committed to getting this data in a better quality.
Other questions for Barb?
I have another question. Do you see any any short or long-term way of helping out with this balancing act between, well, not having a deep enough bench so that people aren't overworked?
I've given it a lot of thought, and you know, one of the balancing acts is how much of the IUS money we go toward managing the RA versus how much we send it out to support observations. And I'm not alone in this. All the RA directors and all the boards struggle with this. Because if you don't have the RA and the data management and so on, and the communications, et cetera, then no one knows that the observations are out there. But at the same time, if you have a strong RA core and you drop, things come out of the water, then we're easing up on that gas pedal, right? So I think it's continually looking for opportunities, continuing to look for ways to collaborate. You know, think of it as growing the village instead of putting, I shouldn't have used the wall because that's kind of overused, but sorry, putting a fence up around us and trying to get partnerships going maybe is the best way to do that.
Yeah, I
We're
was wondering,
flexible. Yeah, we're flexible, we're nimble. That's one of the things we like to say about the regional association model over, I don't know if Carl's still on or not, but I think he'll agree with me that I wasn't around when the concept of the I was born. When the concept of the regional associations came up, I was not engaged in IUs, but I really think it was brilliant having, if you will, a central node being Silver Spring, but then a distributed node where we can be flexible based on the regional needs. And it's really a beautiful system that works. How's that?
Okay, any other questions for Barb? If not, I'd say just thank you, Barb, for, I forgot to mention that you indeed are the youngest of the 11 RA executive directors, so we're very fortunate. And
Thank you.
And thank you for all you've done. I mean, you're a great manager, you're a great leader, you're a great colleague, and we are forever indebted to you for all you've done, and going forward, all that you'll continue to contribute to the world of ocean sciences, especially in the Gulf. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody.